Lawrence Tynes to kick off for the Giants on a beautiful night in the Meadowlands. And Lerod Stevens Howling, a rookie from Pittsburgh, 7th-round draft choice who's been great on special teams, comes up and fields it at the 13-yard line. And he comes out past the 30 and sets up the Cardinals at the 34-yard line as we take a look at the Arizona offense.
Kurt Warner, University of Northern Iowa.
Tim Hightower, the University of Richmond.
Dan Kreider, New Hampshire.
Larry Fitzgerald Jr., University of Pittsburgh.
Anquan Bolden, Florida State University.
Anthony Beck, West Virginia University.
Mike Gandy, Notre Dame. Reggie Wells, Clarion University.
Lyle Senline, University of Texas.
Deuce Tui, USC.
Levi Brown, Penn State.
Cardinals come up and spread it out as they normally do, with Bolden going to the right side, and Warner's going to roll and throw on first down, and it's going to be caught by Steve Breston across midfield to the Giants' 42-yard line. Fred Robbins put the heat on Warner that time, but Kurt rolling to his right throws a strike, and it's a 23-yard pickup on the game's first play.
Well, they surprised him a bit here coming out with the rollout. Really had 10 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. The Giants wanting to show pressure early, didn't bring it, and got up on that next level. And C.C. Brown having to make a tackle on the first play. Not a good sign. He got roughed up pretty good against the Saints.
Ball at the 43-yard line on first down. And the Cardinals go to Hightower, and Hightower takes it to the 37. And Chris talking about the running game and how one-dimensional they are. If they could get a running game going, they'd be almost unstoppable.
They would be. We've seen some of the numbers for Kurt Warner in his play-action game. Unfortunately, nobody takes that seriously because they are dead last running the football.
2nd down and 4 after a gain of 6. And there it is. They average less than 20 run plays and more than 44 passing plays per game. And on 2nd and 4, Warner has time, and Fitzgerald makes the catch. And Larry with his 36th grab of the year on a first down. And let's take a look at the Giants starters.
Justin Tuck, Notre Dame.
Barry Cofield, Northwestern.
Fred Robbins, Wake Forest.
OCU Manura, University of Troy.
Danny Clark, Illinois.
AP, Arizona.
Chase Blackburn, Akron.
Corey Webster, LSU.
C.C. Brown, The Wood.
Mike Johnson, Arizona.
Terrell Thomas, USC.
Double tight end set. You don't see that from the Cardinals very often. And that's Hightower, who gets taken down by Justin Tuck, and the ball comes out, but it is ruled down. It is ruled that before it came out, there was no fumble. And so as Tom Coughlin paces, Arizona will maintain possession.
Justin Tuck has proven many times that he is simply too quick for offensive tackles in this league. And this ball, unless they blew this thing dead, it was awfully close. They ended up calling it down. Let's take a look. That ball is coming out.
And the Cardinals now get up to the line of scrimmage, and can they snap it before the challenge? And they cannot. Coughlin is able to get the challenge flag out, and the question now becomes, is there evidence that the Giants recovered the ball? You see, they have to win it on both levels. They have to win it on the level that it was a fumble, which it appears to have been. Alberto Riveron
the Giants are
is the
challenging
referee.
the ruling on the field of down by contact.
So they'll take a look at this, see if the Giants did indeed recover it. So a coach's challenge 2.5 minutes into the game. Tom Coughlin with a very good record in challenges, far better than the league average. And it looks like he's going to win this one because it clearly appears to be a fumble by Hightower before his knee goes down. The ball is coming out. That is Tuck, who strips it. The ball is out, and Michael Johnson on the other end of the play, the safety for the Giants, comes up with the recovery. And Coughlin just did get the challenge flag out in time. This would be Hightower's 3rd fumble of the season, all of them on Sunday Night Football.
When Justin Tuck comes out and makes a play early on, remember his telling us that just how embarrassed he was after what happened a week ago, and Eli knew right away that that one should be challenged.
Giants this season have already recovered more fumbles, more opponents' fumbles than they did all of last season. This would be their 7th.
Get the feeling this Giants defensive line took it a little personally what happened to them a week ago against the Saints. Not very often in a game do they get no sacks when that many balls are thrown, and they came out with a purpose.
Here's the call by Riveron.
Prior to the ball carrier going down, the ball was loose, and there was a clear recovery by the Giants. The Giants will take over 1st and 10 at 27-yard line. Please reset the clock to show 12:56. 12:56. New York will not be charged with a timeout. Thank you.
So Hightower's 3rd fumble, and Beanie Wells, who is their rookie out of Ohio State and someday ascend into the #1 running back spot, he's had fumble issues. And the Cardinals now with a turnover in their last 13 games, tied for the longest streak in the NFL. So now the Giants take over off the turnover. The ball is at their own 27-yard line, running their first offensive play of the game. Brandon Jacobs, the running back. Manning to the air to Manningham, and Manningham will pick up 8 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 2. He's tackled by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. Manning having a very good season, and against the Cardinals, if you go back to what he did last year when they played in Glendale, he completed 79% of his passes. The Giants winning that game. Double tight end set for the Giants now, and Jacobs is the running back on 2nd down and 2 from the 35-yard line. Quick drop again, and the pass, and that's going to be a 1st down. Dominique Hickson making the grab. Let's take a look at the Giants starters.
Eli Manning, Ole Miss.
Brandon Jacobs, Southern Illinois.
Madison Hedgecock, North Carolina.
Steve Smith, Southern Cal. Mario Manningham, Michigan.
Kevin Boss, Western Oregon.
Dave Deal, University of Chief Illini.
Rich Slabert, Western Illinois. Sean O'Hara, Rutgers University.
Chris Snee, Boston College.
William Beatty, UConn.
And that's the guy to keep an eye on, supplanting McKenzie tonight. Beatty, a 2nd-round draft choice rookie out of Connecticut. 1st and 10 as Manning on his 3rd throw in a row tries to hit the fullback Madison Hedgecock. Incomplete. 2nd down and 10.
William Beatty is the guy that is going to be in the crosshairs tonight. Right out here going up against Darnell Dockett. The Cardinals plan on testing him early, testing him often. When they blitz, they're going his way. He struggled a little bit last week in the ball game when he took over for McKenzie, and they want to see just how far along he really is.
That line had started 38 consecutive games, or the equivalent of about 2.5 seasons before McKenzie has to be deactivated tonight. And here's Jacobs to the outside. And he picks up about 4. Let's take a look at the Cardinal D.
Darnell Dockett, FSU.
Brian Robinson, Fresno State.
Calais Campbell, the U.
Clark Higgins, Mighty Rams.
Gerald Hayes, Patterson, New Jersey. Carlos Dansman, Woodlawn High School.
Chike O'Keefe, West Lafayette Red Devils.
Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Tennessee State.
Adrian Wilson, North Carolina State.
Antrell Roll,
The U.
Brian McFadden, Florida State.
McFadden, a member of the champion Pittsburgh Steelers last year, facing Arizona in the Super Bowl. And now before a 3rd down and 6, you've got
False
David
start.
Deal.
Number 66, offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
So that figures, you'd think it would be a rookie who would make the first full start along the line. Instead, it's the 7-year veteran Deal.
But it is remarkable when you look at Eli's numbers this year. He has been off the charts on 3rd downs and 10+. This has been the best team in football in this situation, so don't be surprised if they pick it up.
Have to get to the Cardinals' 49-yard line on 3rd down and 11. Only 3 down linemen, but a 5-man rush for Arizona, and then the pass is almost intercepted by Adrian Wilson. Adrian Wilson had it right there and couldn't hold on 4th down, and they force a punt.
Well, Adrian Wilson is going to come from all the way across the field over here, and there's nothing more dangerous than horizontally running safeties. We see it with Troy Polamalu all the time. When you allow that safety to freelance, sometimes he just shocks the quarterback with the fact that he was there. Eli thought he had it, and he almost had it picked.
Jeff Fiegels, 22nd year in the league. Sends it towards Steve Breaston, and he'll make the fair catch at the 16-yard line. 10:22 left in the opening quarter after a 44-yard Fiegels boot. Cardinals Giants, no score. So the Cardinals get away with their turnover, and Beanie Wells, the Ohio State rookie, replaces Hightower after Hightower's fumble at running back from the 16-yard line. Warner will swing it out to Wells, and Beanie takes it up to the 17-yard line. Out of Ohio State, came out after his junior year, third running back drafted. Noshawn Moreno was taken by Denver, and then Donald Brown went to Indianapolis. And Arizona trying to get a running game, so it figured they would go for a running back, and it turned out to be Wells.
Yeah, I remember Beanie Wells early on this year had some fumbling problems of his own, and they made him carry the football around the complex. I mean, to launch, to the whole bit. He bobbled a couple last week, too, but didn't fumble.
Second down and 9. And they give it to Wells again, and Wells can barely get on track because that's Barry Cofield, 96, making the stop. Adrian Wilson gave him that football in the fourth quarter at Jacksonville. They were winning the game, but Beanie had fumbled, and Wilson said, "Here, take this and just carry it with you everywhere you go."
He did, too. Here comes pressure time now for the New York Giants. Bill Sheridan said he's not going to sit back like he did a week ago. Let's see if he's willing to bring pressure right now.
Hightower comes back in because he's better in pass protection. Warner out of the shotgun on third down and 8 with 3 wide for the Cardinals. Good protection, and then incomplete as he tried to get it to Hightower, and he was shadowed by Pierce, and Michael Johnson came in that time on a safety blitz to force the issue.
Really not too bad a protection this time. The last time we saw Arizona, the Indianapolis Colts pass rushers were giving Kurt Warner a nightmare, and Kurt Warner got up after this hit and looked at the official and said, "That's not a blow to the head."
I don't know what Riveron said. I don't know what the answer would have been. Dominic Hickson will let it go. He had a great day in New Orleans, and Arizona gets a good break on the roll down to the 31-yard line on the punt by Ben Graham. 8:41 to go in the quarter. 0-0. Manhattan, 8 miles as the helicopter flies from the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, New Jersey, Giants Stadium. Final year for the Giants and the Jets here. Across the parking lot, they go to New Digs in 2010. The Giants now their second possession from the 30-yard line, first down. Good hole over the left side for Jacobs. And Jacobs gets ankle tackled by Antron Roll after a gain of 17. First down.
Chris Snead's going to come out and around here and make this play, but for Brandon Jacobs, that is the play he's been looking for, sort of a breakout play, just averaging 3.5 yards per carry, and he has clearly been frustrated this season. His counterpart, Ahmad Bradshaw, averaging over 6 yards per carry and been getting a lot of the attention.
Good tackle by Antrell Roll, otherwise a lot more. Now they swing it out to Jacobs. And Jacobs a gain of about 5. Last year they had Earth, Wind, and Fire with Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw, and they had Derek Ward as well, who opted for the bigger contract and went to Tampa Bay. And this year, folks are wondering, the fans especially, what's going on with Brandon Jacobs? Why isn't he running with the abandon that we've seen in the past? What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think he's running exactly like he has in the past, and unfortunately he hasn't broken off some of those long runs that he had. But this guy is frightening. When we talk to other defenders out there, the first guy they always bring up is Brandon Jacobs.
2nd and 4. Play fake, and look at that time from Manning as the defense bites. Wow. And then the pass is picked off at the goal line by Rogers Cromartie. It'll be a touchback. Dominic Hickson was there, and Dominic Rogers Cromartie, and he's the little girl with the curl. He can be fabulous or get burned. And that time he's fabulous. What a pick. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie with a pick every 3 games in his regular season career. His second cousin is Antonio Cromartie of San Diego, who ran that missed field goal back 109 yards for an NFL record last year. A lot of bragging must go on at those family get-togethers. They are 2 spectacular players. From the 20-yard line, that is knocked back to Warner, and he'll just volleyball into the ground. Danny Clark knocking it away. Second down. Back to the pick we go, Chris.
Well, the Cardinals coming up with the same sort of defense now that the Saints use. Look at these safeties. They are down tight and playing against the run. So that means straight up, one-on-one, man-to-man coverage on the outside. Last week, the Giants were 0 for 6 on these kinds of throws. Add that one in, now 0 for 7. But for Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, that is perfect coverage.
Second down and 10. Warner in the pocket, will throw to the outside, and that is caught by Bolden. And Bolden that time getting around Terrell Thomas, who gambled on it, and he was able to make the catch and pick up the first down.
And Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, how good was that catch? That's what he caught it with. I don't know what, he's got a little cast on there, and I guess he only needs 7 fingers to make an interception like that. That was spectacular.
As you say, you can't cover any better than that. That last play to Bolden, gaining 18, playing with that high ankle sprain is Anquan. Fitzgerald split to the left this time. And Warner's going to air it out. Warner going deep. There's a flag down intended for Breston and knocked away by Thomas, who got beaten by Bolden on the last play. Riveron throwing a flag.
I think there's an illegal formation out here on Breston.
Illegal formation. Number 15 was covered up. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Exactly right.
Well, as a wide receiver, you cannot be on the line of scrimmage. You can see Steve Breston here, both he and the tight end on the line of scrimmage, which makes that illegal.
Had to be a step back. Ken Wisenhunt got this team to the Super Bowl now in his 3rd year. 3 years ago, the offensive coordinator with Pittsburgh when they won the Super Bowl. 3 receivers set to the right here on first down and 15. And Warner's going to throw to the left side on a little low and underthrown intended for Bolden, and incomplete. It'll be second down.
Well, I tell you, these tackles for Arizona are always put in such a tough situation. When you go 4 wide receiver, that time Matthias Kiwanuka working on the outside against Levi Brown over here. Just so difficult. He gets no help. A lot of teams will leave backs in, they'll leave tight ends in to help. But in that one-on-one situation, boy, you can't miss or your quarterback pays the price.
Here they go 3 wide. On the last play, they were 4 wide, second down and 15. Warner off the play fake. And the pump and hits Ben Patrick, the recently reinstated tight end. Antonio Pierce making the tackle on the play. And that pass is good for 11 yards, making a 3rd down and 4.
There's Antonio Pierce, and there's no doubt he is the leader. He's the guy that is in charge. He's the one that's matching wits with Kurt Warner. He's the one going audible for audible. And now is a chance for them to play some games. Again, let's see if Sheridan dials up some pressure. Looks like it. Safety's down.
3rd and 5, and here they come, and Warner hangs in there, and the pass is incomplete. The coverage is also very good. Fitzgerald cannot believe there was no flag. Covered by Corey Webster. Neither can Warner, and it's 4th down.
Boy, everybody was coming. I mean, they brought the house over here, and that meant that Corey Webster was left one-on-one on the outside against Larry Fitzgerald. They are going to match up these 2 great players all night long. They think Corey Webster is the guy on this defense that can cover Fitzgerald one-on-one.
Ben Graham with a line drive kick. It's fielded at the 10. This is Hickson. running it back out to the 20-yard line. So the Giants with possession for the third time. The skyline of Manhattan across the Hudson on this beautiful Sunday night. Ahmad Bradshaw comes in as the running back here after we saw Jacobs in for the first 2 series. First down, Giants from the 21-yard line. Scoreless game. 5.5 to go in the period. And the Cardinals very good against the run. Carlos Dansby is there to make the tackle. Giants going into last week's game #1 defensively, and a lot of what Eli has been doing has been overlooked, but there are his numbers. Very good through 5 games, 11 touchdowns and only 4 picks.
Yeah, on pace for career lows and interceptions and sacks. Does a great job getting the ball out of his hands. But we're already seeing the Arizona Cardinals and the statement they're making on defense. They are playing a lot of guys up. They're going to try and take away the Giants' running game and make them beat them throwing the ball.
Only 3 sacks of Eli and 175 dropbacks. And this is Dansby again. Carlos Dansby, number 58, who was a teammate of Brandon Jacobs. They played together at Auburn.
Here's what we're talking about. Both inside backers now coming on the cross blitz. They are simply not going to let the Giants come in and pound the football. They're going to force them to throw down the field. They really do feel like they have the advantage on the back end.
Jacobs was at Auburn briefly. They tried to move him to linebacker. Dansby talking about it last night. He said that's why he went to Southern Illinois. He didn't want to be a linebacker. Turned out to be a good move. Cardinals get back onside. 3rd down and 12. And this time they're offside because Adrian Wilson came across the line, and they flag on a 3rd and 12.
Remember the blitz last week that Ahmad Bradshaw didn't pick up for the Giants, and Eli chewed him out pretty good. The Cardinals came with that blitz that time.
Offside, defense on the right end. 5-yard penalty, replay 3rd down.
That was Wilson who'd come up to the line.
Jumping off sides, but this is what the Giants and Ahmad Bradshaw did not handle a week ago. Unfortunately, they jump off sides, so they didn't really get a chance to test it here. But again, they're over there working on William Beatty as well. They want to find out what he has.
3rd down and 7. 3 down linemen for the Cards. They're showing blitz again. And they were almost offside again, and in fact,
they were.
Another flag, and that'll be the 2nd in a row. Shaquille Kiefer, I think, was the guy who came across.
Offside, number 93 defense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Boy, Eli's got the double pump, triple pump fake on the snap count going.
On 3rd down, it's a near perfect rating for him through 6 weeks, and he has done, and for 3rd and 6 or more, that is a perfect rating. Very close to it. But he's turned a 3rd and 12 into a 3rd and 2.
Well, maybe that's why he's so good. He has a way of narrowing the gap.
He's done it here, so 2 offside penalties on Arizona. And on 3rd and 2, it's a little toss to Bradshaw, and he's going to get the first down. So they're able to run it after they turn 3rd and long into 3rd and short. Roll makes the tackle, first down for New York.
Well, I know William Beatty can at least run block. This was nice. He got out in front of this play and made a nice open field block. This is not easy for a big old tackle to do, but you can see him square up that corner. In the corner, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie wanted no part of him. But he's a big athletic guy, but it's all very new. All those calls at the line of scrimmage, they're all tough.
Giants love to run pitch outs and sweeps. But Bradshaw is averaging almost 8 yards per carry on those plays. Manning, good protection, but the secondary also does its job as well, and he just throws it away into the bench. 2nd and 10.
We were talking to Chris Nee, the right guard for the Giants, and about the relationship he has with Kareem McKenzie. He said, leaving the huddle, I just simply look over at him and say one word, and we know what we're going to do at the line of scrimmage. But with Beatty in there, we have to get to the line of scrimmage. I have to see what they're doing, tell him very directly what he has to do on the play. And so some of our mystery of our line calls are gone because of the change over here.
There's McKenzie on the sideline. You saw Snee, the son-in-law of Tom Coughlin, sixth year out of Boston College. 2nd and 10, a quick throw to the right side, and that is caught by Mario Manningham. And Manningham with the coverage that time from Rogers Cromartie, who wasn't even looking back as Manning got it away quickly, and it will be a first down. Gain of 20 yards.
Eli got that ball out of his hands so quickly. I don't think Dominic Rogers Cromartie thought there's any way in the world the ball could be there yet. You could see he wasn't even contemplating the idea that that ball was going to be there. That's within 10 yards to get a fade route in there. The timing was just different for Cromartie.
Under 3 to play, opening quarter, no score. First down, Bradshaw again. And it'll be 2nd down and 6. Arizona against the run, very tough. In fact, Eli Manning was telling us the other day, it gives us an opportunity to throw a lot on 1st and 2nd down. Rush yards allowed fewest in the league, but passing 2nd most in the league. Bill Davis is the defensive coordinator. He took the place of Clancy Pendergast, who was the defensive coordinator last year and wound up going to Kansas City with Todd Haley, who was Arizona's offensive coordinator. 2nd and 6. From the 39-yard line. Manning is chased. And Manning trying to stay in bounds and steps out at the 39-yard line.
You know, the Arizona Cardinals so good against the run, but they don't play a classic 3-4. A classic 3-4, he would be out here, but because this guy is so quick off the ball, they drop him down inside because they want to create some space for him to get after the pass rusher. I think Ken Whisenhunt would eventually like to get to sort of a Pittsburgh Steelers style of 3-4, but it doesn't fit this personnel for the Arizona Cardinals. They're smaller, they're quicker, they use their speed instead of power the way that the Steelers D-line does.
3rd and 6. And a whistle.
Delay a game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And so this time Manning turns a 3rd and 6 into a 3rd and 11.
Boy, Eli has really been messing around with the snap count. Maybe we'll give you a chance to listen in on this thing. He has had the Arizona Cardinals jumping all over the place, and it's the hesitations in there that really gets him. He'll go a hard count and then stop and then go again real hard and gets him.
Third and 11. Set up the screen to the left side, and that is sniffed out perfectly by Adrian Wilson. Bradshaw made the catch, and Wilson is right there.
Adrian Wilson has been around the line of scrimmage the entire game. Here he is, and he's going to make the screen stop all the way across the formation. This is a guy that started out as a quarterback in the NFL, runs under 4'5", but also weighs 230 pounds, can play linebacker. Quite a weapon.
The 43-year-old Jeff Fiegels to punt. Breslин's going to let it go, and it skips out of bounds sideways at the 11-yard line. 26 seconds left in the opening quarter at the Meadowlands. 0-0. Well, there is the new Meadowlands Stadium. Right across the parking lot, probably 90% complete. 82,500 will be the capacity. The Giants will play there next year, as will the Jets. In fact, I was talking to John Mara and Steve Tisch, the co-owners of the Giants. They may be able to take the keys before the end of the year, but there's no way they're going to play a game in there. It's just too much in terms of a startup and getting everybody all together. But that looks like a beautiful facility.
I mean, some of these places are just spectacular. Of course, we went to the opening of the Dallas Cowboys Stadium this year, and boy, you can't get much better than that one.
This one looks beautifully designed. It's great when you drive it up to this one and take a look at that one, which looks twice as big and just about is in terms of cubic footage. Beanie Wells, and Wells with a powerful run through the middle picks up a first down and a couple of more on a 13-yard carry to the 25-yard line, and that will take us to the end of the opening frame. That will be the end of the first quarter at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with the score: the Arizona Cardinals nothing and the New York Giants nothing. And NBC's Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Ken Wisenhunt took the team to the Super Bowl last year. 7-11 regular season record on the road, and for a Cardinal coach through the history of this franchise, Chicago, St. Louis, and Arizona, that's not bad. And the East Coast spunk. 1 o'clock games as the Arizona Cardinals, 23-60. Play them at 4 o'clock, 0-9. Play them in prime time, 0-1. What does that tell you? They never play in prime time in the East. But that's the past, and he hopes to turn things around and burnish a new image for this franchise. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Andrea Kramer at the Meadowlands start the second quarter. 1st and 10. Arizona at the 25-yard line. And LaRod Stevens-Howland, rookie out of Pittsburgh, is in the backfield, flanking Warner in the gun on 1st down. And they're going to give it to Stevens-Howland, who's been a demon on special teams, and Justin Tuck makes the tackle. And for the Cardinals, you know, you begin to think sooner or later they'll turn it around. They did get to the Super Bowl, but a game like this, prime time in the East, and you look at their November schedule, Chris, it sets up pretty nicely for them. This is very big tonight.
Yeah, it really is, and you know, Kurt Warner will talk about it too. You know, he'll say that we've got to get over that hump. You know, we've got to get to the point. Yeah, we went to the Super Bowl, but these guys really have to believe we can go on the road and beat a team like the New York Giants.
Hightower back in the game. 2nd down and 11. Warner stepping up, avoiding the pressure, and then the pass thrown into double coverage is incomplete, knocked down by Thomas, 24. 3rd and 11.
And you have to admire Anquan Bolden being out there tonight. He has that sprained ankle. He's been limping around, came out before the game and was having some difficulty. I think it was cutting to the right. And so you get the feeling that what they're trying to do tonight is if he has to cut on that ankle, make him go to the left, because he clearly is limited. You can see that time running that route. He is not quite the same guy, but he's so tough, you know he's going to play.
3rd and 11. They go 4 wide. On 3rd down and 11, it's Warner throwing, and that is juggled and intercepted. That is Thomas. And Thomas gets taken down at the 30-yard line by Larry Fitzgerald, for whom the pass was intended.
There we go. Here's the matchup right here. And really, Steve Breston had it up over the top. I thought Kurt Warner was going to go deep, and for some reason just threw that one behind. But that was a big play for Terrell Thomas to be able to come up with this. They've been trying to make plays on the ball. Remember last week against the Saints, this was the kind of play that gave them problems when the ball was thrown up high, and all week long the Giants practiced that exact ball, and that time it paid off for Thomas.
Second-year player Thomas out of USC, 2nd pick of the season, 3rd in his career. Now Jacobs has an escort. 1st down and out of bounds at about the 5-yard line. Adrian Wilson saving a touchdown.
Well, the blitz has been helping the Cardinals. That time it really got them. They blitz both inside linebackers, so there's no pursuit to get to this bounce out. And Brandon Jacobs probably is snickering a little bit at people who say he shouldn't be bouncing things outside. So far tonight, he's had a couple of big runs.
25 yards there, his 2nd longest run of the year. Hakeem Nicks is split to the left. He's the rookie out of North Carolina. Ball is at the 4, 1st down and goal. And it's going to go to Nick, and it's incomplete. Hakeem Nicks, who scored a touchdown in each of the last 3 games, covered by Bryant McFadden. 2nd down and goal.
Well, Hakeem Nicks certainly has been coming up with some big plays, touchdowns in each of the last 3 games. This time McFadden right there is unable to come down with it. But this is really where the New York Giants have struggled. And you would think an offense down here in the red zone, you would think an offense that has the ability to run the ball the way that they can would not have issues in the red zones. But look at that, 28th in the NFL, just 37% scoring touchdowns.
On 2nd and goal, they'll try Jacobs. And Jacobs, can he bull his way in? Yes, he can. Touchdown, Giants.
Rich Soybert right here. Sean O'Hara right here. Just taking their guys and moving them straight back. Little double team with Snee. And Brandon Jacobs came out on the field before the game tonight and let go a roar like a lion would to the crowd and told everybody in this place he was ready to go.
Ran right over Gerald Hayes at the end. Tynes for the extra point. The Cardinals got away with their first turnover, but not their second. The pick by Thomas, the touchdown by Jacobs, 7-0 New York. Penn Station in Manhattan. And we're at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where the Giants have taken the lead. Cardinals have turned the ball over twice. And that was a costly one, as the Giants had a very short field. And Brandon Jacobs got him in position to score and then took it in himself. Tynes with the kickoff. Stevens howling. Good coverage. The 22. Well, you all know, if you follow football, about turnovers and how important they are. It's particularly pronounced with Whisenhunt at Arizona. When they win the turnover battle, 14-0. When they're even 5-2. But when they lose the battle, 1-15. And right now they're losing the battle because they've turned it over twice. And the Giants turned it over once on that interception by Cromartie in the end zone. Warner and company. And again, the Cardinals this time go 5 wide with no backs on first down from the 22-yard line. Four-man rush, 7 back. Pass is caught. 26-yard line. Ben Patrick. You know, you talk about 5 wide, 4 wide. The Cardinals go 4 wide with one running back 33% of the time. How unusual is that? The rest of the league collectively, 8%.
That's Kurt Warner's game, though. He really likes to invite the blitz. He wants to spread it out. He wants to see it. And it also sets him up for some hits and some fumbles occasionally, too. And he certainly has had enough of those.
2nd and 6. Here's Hightower. Gets out of the backfield, breaks a tackle from Danny Clark. And he gets slowed down enough that he is stopped about 4 yards shy of a first down. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
And you know Ken Whisenhunt would love to be able to run the football. He's from Pittsburgh. He was a play caller there. And yet they consistently just cannot. So they just go to these 4 wide receiver sets and take their chances with Kurt Warner.
4 wide with 1 back here. Giants with 6 DBs. 4-man rush. Warner hit as he throws, and Fitzgerald lunges for it and can't make the catch. And Kiwanuka able to put the pressure on Warner, who goes to the turf.
Well, this is a nightmare for almost everybody who sees it right here. Matthias. Justin Tuck down. No, that is Kiwanuka down inside. So they're doing the same thing that they do with Justin Tuck. Remember that back in the Super Bowl, Tuck just tearing up the New England Patriots in that game when he got put down on the guards.
This is Ben Graham's 3rd punt of the game. The left-footed Aussie to the 27-yard line, and it goes out of bounds at that point. Dominic Hickson was there.
Kevin Dockery just basically ran his guy right back into Dominic Hickson.
Michael Adams with the coverage on the play, and the officials confer, and it's the Giants' ball to the 31-yard line. One of the big questions for the Giants coming into the season with Plaxico Burress gone, what would happen to the receiving corps? Well, so far so good. Steve Smith, 3rd season out of USC, tied for the league lead in receptions coming into the weekend. Hickson is a receiver, and of course he's now made his mark as a punt and kickoff returner. Manningham has really come on, second season out of Michigan. Had a big night in Dallas in week 2, and Hakeem Nicks was their #1 pick out of North Carolina. So far, so good. I'm not saying they haven't missed Burris, but to this point, they've done very well without him. And also Amani Toomer, after a long career here, no longer a Giant. This is Bradshaw up to the 36. And what do you think? I mean, Chris, are you surprised at the proficiency of their receiving corps to this point?
There's no question they played better than expectations. But I will say this. The last 2 weeks, Plexico Burris would have made some of those plays against the Saints that these receivers did not. Plexico Burris would have had a chance on that ball that Dominic Hickson didn't come up with, that Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie made the play on. His size alone was the difference many, many times for the Giants.
2nd and 5 now. Bradshaw. And nothing doing over the left side, though he does lunge forward. Darnell Dockett in on the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 3 for the Giants.
And the Cardinals are essentially daring Tom Coughlin to throw the football. They are trying to play their safeties up around the line of scrimmage. They're playing Adrian Wilson like he's a linebacker. They want to force the ball into Eli Manning's hands and take their chances. Straight man coverage.
Cardinals creeping up to the line and drop back. And the pressure is good enough, though, through the middle. That was Calais Campbell. I was talking about him before, taking the spot occupied by Antonio Smith, and he's really come on. 6'8", 290 pounds out of Miami.
Perhaps the biggest surprise so far for the Arizona Cardinals, Calais Campbell, 6'7" or 8", as you said. And all they talk about is if this guy ever gets his footwork down, that's all they do, because they say if he has bad footwork, he ends up on his back. If his footwork is good, look what happens.
Eagles to kick, and Breston is back there to receive it. And a bad kick. He shanked it off the side of his foot, and it goes out of bounds near midfield. So Fiegels, off the side of his foot, gives the Cardinals good field position at the 45 after a 27-yard punt. First down after the Fiegels shank. Beanie Wells is the running back. And Warner will throw it out to Wells. And Beanie takes it up to the 49. Larry Fitzgerald, their star receiver, held to just 1 catch tonight, Chris, on their first drive, 10 yards.
Yeah, I would imagine he's going to have a few more, though. He had 13 last week for 100 yards and a touchdown. Really just his first 100-yard receiving game of the year. And he's one of those guys that occasionally you have to throw it to him covered. You know, give him a chance. We've seen him sort of command that third dimension, that vertical dimension. Give him a chance to go up and make some plays vertically.
2nd and 4. There's the play fake. And Warner gets taken down by Clark. Danny Clark coming in, not biting on it. Warner's been fabulous on play action over the past couple of seasons, but Clark that time coming in and knocking him down.
Yeah, nobody even blocks Danny Clark on this one. He's going to come and briefly go after the play fake, but then just turn and get Kurt Warner. Kind of tough to do. You don't have anybody blocking that linebacker. Steve Breston definitely had a chance down the field, but Kurt didn't have time to find it.
Clark changing direction, busting up the play. 3rd down and 12. Warner under pressure again, and the pass is incomplete. Dropped by Hightower. Umanura putting the heat on Warner that time, and they're forced to punt again.
Well, we saw Dwight Freeney working on Mike Gandy. Here he is in a game earlier this year, and there's really just no way in space that he's going to handle Osi Umanura. Put so much pressure on Kurt Warner to have to get that ball out quickly, and the Giants know that when it's 3rd and long, that's when Kurt holds the ball and you have a chance.
Ben Graham to punt. And that's a booming kick, and the fair catch is called for and made at the 17-yard line by Dominic Hickson. Started out as a booming kick, and then the winds got it. The swirling winds. 41-yard boot, 7-0. 8.5 to go from the 17-yard line. And Manning on first down, going deep, and that's out of bounds. And it was Smith doing a 360. And McFadden, see, you thought I was kidding you about those swirling winds on that punt, but there it was again.
There you go, more swirling winds. And Brian McFadden looked like a drunken sailor at the end of this thing. Watch him sort of staggering, trying to just couldn't quite come down with it. It was swirling up there. You were right.
Little wind shear. Look at the our man Fred Godelli. He's saving me here. That's good. I like that. Rippling. Second down and 10 from the 17-yard line. Jacobs cannot get out of the backfield. Good tackle by Clark Higgins.
Well, William Beatty giving a start for Green McKenzie, and Chris Snead told us about the communication issues. You can see him over there basically directing Beatty, telling him exactly who to block. Now, typically, they don't do that at the line of scrimmage because Snead and McKenzie have been playing together for so long. They communicate when they break the huddle and then just sort of say each other's name, and they know exactly what's going on. Well, Beatty doesn't know that.
Mentioned it before, that offensive line, as you look at McKenzie, had started 36 consecutive games together. Third down and 14. That is incomplete. So it's fourth down. Just a housekeeping. 38 consecutive games. 2 seasons plus 6 games together. So a new up front group, and it's fourth down and 14 for the Giants.
Pretty good job by that new up front group that time. The Cardinals came with a double safety blitz, and the Giants picked it up and just missed the route in one of those sort of double moves, comeback, complicated kind of routes, and it was just poorly timed.
Now Fiegel's coming off the 27-yard shank. And this is a high angled kick that will wind up on the Cardinals sideline and in Giant territory. So not a good kick there either, with Arizona getting it at the 46 after a 33-yard boot. Well, Larry Fitzgerald went from a real good player to a guy that people kept an eye on to a megastar in 4 games in postseason last year. That was a postseason for the ages for him. And of course, if Holmes doesn't make the catch, or if Arizona wins the game, then he scores the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl to boot.
It was remarkable. I don't think that record will ever be broken. I really don't. Got to play 4 games.
Warner on first down and throw it underneath. And that's Beanie Wells, and that's a short gain, 3 yards. Make it second down and 7.
It's kind of interesting watching Beanie Wells running the pass routes now, because they said really coming out of Ohio State, they have a pretty basic system there at Ohio State. Not a lot of complex blitz pickups. They just sort of turn around and hand them the ball. So they're trying to teach him the offense, trying to teach him protections, trying to teach him the passing game, but they're giving him a chance tonight.
Hightower back in, flanking Warner on second down and 7. And Warner hit as he throws. Here's Fitzgerald. He'll spin around and try to get the first down, and then coming from behind to make the tackle is Robbins. So Robbins making the tackle. Terrell Thomas with the initial coverage. 3rd and 3 upcoming.
Well, one of the things Larry Fitzgerald will do is get physical at the line of scrimmage back. He doesn't wait on these defensive backs. He gives Corey Webster a shot, clears a little space, and then makes a nice move. Cardinals really need to make something happen. They've had great field position and have done nothing with it.
Warner is 9 of 17 for 79 yards. Crowd exhorting the defense. It's 3rd down and 3. Warner stepping up and throwing into traffic, and that will be caught by Bolden at the 26-yard line. So with that high ankle sprain, Bolden And Andrew told us before the game, going to his right tougher than going to his left, but that time he had to go to his right to cut across the middle, 13 yards.
This guy is just a man. I mean, C.C. Brown just rips him here. And he hangs on to the football, bad ankle and all. Last time he was in this stadium, he took one bigger than that, though. Broke his jaw, and a couple of weeks later was back playing again.
That was last year against the Jets from the 26-yard line. Warner has to roll away, and then nearly has that one picked by Webster. 2nd down and 10. Back to that hit that Bolden took here against the Jets about a year ago, end of September. And this was the type of hit where you thought he was gone for the season for sure, and maybe longer.
7 plates, 40 screws in that jaw. And you could see everybody was praying for him at the time. They didn't know if he had broken his neck or what. Came out of surgery, refused all pain pills, and a couple weeks later is back playing. And I'm telling you, when he came back, he never flinched. I watched that tape. I said, I know he flinched. He never did.
2nd and 10. Pressure is on. Warner going deep, and Fitzgerald can't make a one-handed grab. Coverage is good. It will be 3rd down and 10.
Pressure brought on Kurt Warner, but that's what you cannot do to Larry Fitzgerald. You can't overthrow him. You have to give him a chance to jump and make plays on the ball. When we did the Colts game, Warner overthrew him in that game on a deep ball as well. If you give him a chance to just jump and make this play, he makes about 90% of these catches, but he can't make that one.
Giants good defending 3rd and long on 3rd and 10 or more. The Giants have given up only 1 first down in 23 such plays. And here they come again, an all-out blitz, and that opens it up for Hightower to make the catch and pick up the first down. So the Giants gamble, send almost everybody, and Hightower out on the left flat picks it up for a first down.
Well, like they did last week, the Giants mess up another coverage here. You're going to see the safety dropping down late. Antonio Pierce right in the middle is turned around and screaming. I think it was Michael Johnson back there that he was trying to get up there. His back was turned. It was just out of sorts. They messed it up and gave up the first down.
4.5 left in the half. Wells is the running back. And the rookie from Ohio State with a good stiff arm inside the 5 into the end zone goes Beanie for a touchdown. He pushes Terrell Thomas out of the way and goes in for the touchdown after the Cardinals on a 3rd and long convert against the Giants blitz, and in they go for the score.
Terrell Thomas absolutely blew that one. He had contain on the outside, and he was hanging his head afterwards. And welcome to the NFL, Beanie Wells. That's what he did at Ohio State. They turned around and gave him the ball, and he did that. Jammed that stiff arm right down Terrell Thomas's throat.
First touchdown in the career of Chris Beanie Wells, and Neil Reckers ties the game with the extra point. He'll keep that football with 4:18 to play in the half.
Well, Terrell Thomas, the corner, is going to have to secure this edge. You'll see him come down in the picture late here. But he has right here, he has to contain this thing. And when he sinks down inside, that gives Beanie Wells a chance. Nice move, but Thomas can't make that mistake. He got 2 good stiff arms on that one. He got C.C. Brown got a facial as well. Doink.
Well, that's the all-day spa right there.
Whoa, I mean, that's a bench press he gave to C.C. Brown. Looks a little more confident, doesn't he? Remember we saw him, he had the fumbles against Indy, and I don't know, maybe he was confident, but Wisenhunt had him on the bench next to him.
Yeah, no, he was telling Andrea yesterday he was not in a good place. You know, rookie year, been making mistakes, had to come out of the lineup. But you're right, that is a confidence booster, scoring your first NFL touchdown in the shadow of the Big Apple.
How about the day this guy had last week?
Nixon,
Had a team record for most yards in a game, over 300 return yards and receiving yards. It was simply spectacular. Maybe the only guy that really had a good day for the Giants last week against the Saints.
One way to get that record, though, is to give up a lot of touchdowns, because it means you're running back a lot of kickoffs.
That's a good point.
New Orleans scored 7 touchdowns last week. Here's the kick, fielded a yard into the end zone by Hickson. And Hickson still on his feet. And then down at the 26-yard line. More on Beanie. We go to Andrea.
Well, yeah, Al, he was telling me last night that he feels he's just rushing everything. His steps, his handoff, he's not securing the ball. But he said it's all correctable. And one interesting thing he said, he remembered a line he heard by some man named John Madden. He said, the road to Easy Street goes through the dump. And Wells said, I'm in the dump right now. Well, you know what? I think he found his way out of the dump and into the end zone.
We only wish that was true all the time. The road to Easy Street goes through the dump. 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Manning. And that's caught by Manningham. And he's so adept at doing that, spinning away from coverage. And he's very close to a first down.
Yeah, already 4 touchdowns on the year, and a lot of them have come on plays just like that one, where he basically just gets the ball and then starts making people miss. And really, this should be a nice routine little 8-yard gain. Look at that. He's completely pinned in, makes 2 guys miss, and picks up the first down.
Here's a candidate for Dancing with the Stars right there. With those feet. First down and 10 at the 36-yard line. And Bradshaw. Try to go back over the left side. Adrian Wilson comes up to plant him. No gain, 2nd down and 10, 3.5 to go.
Well, every time Adrian Wilson gets up on the line of scrimmage, you see Eli Manning pointing at him. He's been here, he's been circling this way, he's been all over the place, trying to force Eli to check his protections, to check his runs, and then he's coming to the backside and making the plays. Pretty impressive performance so far.
2nd and 10 from the 36-yard line. And nothing happening as he gets to the 38. The former Steeler Clark Hagens in on the stop, 3rd down and 8.
Well, and that's part of the game that they're playing now, Arizona is, because as soon as you just start paying attention to Wilson and checking everything that way, that time they rolled down Antrell Roll, and Bill Davis, the defensive coordinator, said the only thing I kick myself about is I like to play those games, but I've got to fire my big cannon. My big cannon is Adrian Wilson, so when I'm blitzing, I'm bringing him.
Wilson this time lines up on the defensive left side. 3rd down and 8. Only 2 linemen with their hands down. Here comes Wilson. He's picked up by the back. And the pass is deflected and caught at the 28-yard line by Hakeem Nicks, who goes in for the touchdown. Tipped by Manningham, and Hicks goes in for a score in his 4th consecutive game with a touchdown. 62 yards.
Remember when you said Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie was all or nothing? That time he makes a spectacular play, but the spectacular play was a spike to the Giants.
62 yards off the deflection. Lawrence Tynes out of a Jeff Feagles hold with the conversion, and with 2:09 to go in the half, the New York Giants are back up on top, 14-7.
Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie again with perfect coverage. No doubt he's going to make this play, but when he tries to spike the ball down, instead it goes up. Maybe mistimed the jump a bit. Hakeem Nicks right there to pick it off in mid-stride. Unbelievable. You know, usually those kinds of tip balls end up as interceptions, but I guess for Eli Manning, when you're going good and having a good year and you get those kind of plays, can't believe it. Said I was there, I made the perfect play.
Tips have been important for the Giants this season because they had a tip ball that turned out to be a big touchdown in the Dallas game in week 2 toward the end of the game on the game-winning drive. And that was a first down on that play in the Dallas game to keep a drive alive. It turned out to be a touchdown, but Manning, as you say, Chris, living right. Larod Stevens Howling back to receive the kick. Tyne sends it to the 9-yard line. And the rookie out of Pittsburgh brings it all the way back out to the 38 with 2:04 left in the second quarter.
Well, the Giants really have been doing a pretty good job for the most part playing this 4 wide receiver set. You see they end up with 6 defensive backs in the game, 4 down linemen, and Antonio Pierce is the only linebacker in there. And so far, the Arizona Cardinals have not had a lot of success. Now, they haven't tried many of those jump balls, those back shoulder throws that we saw the Saints in a week ago.
4 wide on first down. Last play before the 2-minute warning, and it's Bolden who makes the catch as he gets by the coverage, and then Bolden takes it all the way down to the 25-yard line. Bruce Johnson was there, and Bolden able to make the catch. Johnson couldn't cover him, and then he's able to take it all the way down for a 44-yard pickup as we get to the 2-minute warning. .154 left. Ball at the 19. Beanie Wells is the running back. And Wells, who scored the Cardinal touchdowns, sprints to the outside and gets taken down by C.C. Brown by the shoulder pads after a gain of 6 yards, 2nd down and 4. The Cardinals have all 3 timeouts left.
Well, I think I know what Beanie Wells' signature is going to be in the league. It's this stiff arm. This time it's C.C. Brown who's going to get his second taste of it tonight, and a little bit of a horse collar looking tackle there that C.C. Brown got away with.
2nd and 4. Hightower back in. He provides better protection. Jeremy Urban is in the game. He's wide to the left and then goes in motion to the inside. 3 receivers come out of that spot, and Warner throws, and cutting across and making the catch is Jeremy Urban. Stopped by C.C. Brown. No gain. 3rd and 4.
Anquan Bolden's sick. He was wide open. They come with a slot blitz right here, and Anquan Bolden is going to be running by himself down the middle of the field, and Kurt Warner never sees it. Giants catch a break. They blew a coverage like that last week against New Orleans and paid the price. This time they got away with it. And this has not been a good team in the red zone defensively this year.
Cards are going to take all the time they can and then call the timeout. And obviously what they're thinking here is they have plenty of time. They have the timeouts left. They can score, and they just want to make sure they leave the Giants no time on the other side of whatever happens at the end of this drive. 14-7. The Giants in the red zone, and we talked about their offensive troubles, defensively even worse. They have the worst percentage in the NFL. They've given up 16 touchdowns on 20 offensive thrusts by the other team's offense, obviously, and timeout is not called by the Giants before a 3rd and 3.
Giants, this is their first of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
So Arizona came up and lined up, and the Giants said, wait a second, we'll talk this over on our bench.
You know what was interesting was Justin Tuck was standing up and sort of walking around. You'll see him just sort of wandering here. Didn't know if he's going to come here. He walks back this way. Looked like they had something pretty exotic on, and then for whatever reason they just weren't comfortable and called the timeout. Kind of a new look there for the Giants, but boy, Justin Tuck, he was interesting talking about playing down inside on that 3 technique, wasn't he? He wasn't so crazy about it early on.
No. 3rd down and 3 from the 13-yard line. Warner throws, and it is Fitzgerald who gets taken down at the goal line. The pass is incomplete, and he fell down. No flag. Fell down on his own.
Yeah, Larry's just going to slip and fall there. He was going to try and arrow back out of that, and Kurt went for the back shoulder throw, and of course Fitzgerald falling down, never got a chance to make it. So the Giants do hold in the red zone this time.
Neil Rackers, this will be a 30-yard field goal attempt. Ben Graham to hold it. Mike Leach to snap it. And Rackers tacks on 3 with 15 seconds remaining in the first half. Pulse of the game to this point. Cardinals with a drive that was ended by a Thomas interception. A turnover led to a Brandon Jacobs score. Beanie Wells took it in for his first NFL touchdown to tie it. And then Rogers Cromartie tried to bat it away. It wound up in the hands of Hakeem Nicks, who scored to make it 14-7. Rackers has just added a field goal, and it's 14-10 as you look at the numbers of the two quarterbacks to this point.
You know, I think if you're the Arizona Cardinals, though, you feel pretty decent about this. You say, okay, Hakeem Nicks came up with a fluky tip ball kind of play. We drove down on our opening drive and turned the ball over and come back and turn it over again, which led to another Giants touchdown. So if they can get back in here at halftime, just sort of settle down and not make any mistakes, they've really been playing pretty well.
I mean, through the years, though, as we know, not only have they not won in the Eastern time zone and on the road, they've been routed a lot. At least tonight, it's competitive to this point.
Well, you know, they won their first 2 games on the road, but they felt like this one was a little bit different. You know, you come into Giant Stadium and sort of a homecoming, if you will, for Kurt Warner, and he wouldn't say it, but I'll bet you he really would like to have this one.
He spent 1 year with the Giants. Talked about that in the second half at some point as Dominic Hickson downs it in the end zone, and the Giants will have the ball with only 15 seconds left, and they do have 2 timeouts. But when they lead at the half, as you can see, 15 straight wins, and that's the longest current streak in the National Football League.
That it is. Tom Coughlin, boy, he's really sort of changed the culture around here as far as this offense is concerned, hasn't he? Comes in, they've been averaging in the mid-20s in points during the course of his career and really opened things up for Eli, giving him some chances.
That's his pedigree, and especially so when he went to the Jacksonville Jaguars and did a masterful job for a number of years with that club. And that will be the end of the half. Giants Stadium with the score of the New York Giants 14 and the Arizona Cardinals 10. And back we come to the Meadowlands, Giants Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer. Starting the third quarter, Bolden with that high ankle sprain was a game time decision. And in the first half, Antoine caught 3 passes for 75 yards. Manning will get the ball as the Giants will receive the kick. And here we go in the second half. Rackers sends a bouncing ball down at the 2-yard line. Hickson. And he'll get buried as he reaches the 20-yard line by Ali Highsmith. Let's go to Andrea Kramer. Andrea.
Well, Al, I asked Tom Coughlin, what's the biggest improvement in your defense after the debacle of a week ago? He said guys are flying around, they're in position, they're challenging the ball, they're getting the turnovers. As for the Cardinals offense, Beanie Wells, according to Ken Wisenhunt, got in because of the Tim Hightower fumble. Then he liked the way he was running, so he's going to keep working him in the second half.
Yeah, and it was Beanie Wells who lost his job earlier this season because of a fumble, and now Hightower in effect returns the favor, and that's why Beanie gets in the game, as Andrea said. The ball is at the 20-yard line. The Giants on first down. Jacobs, and he runs into a roll as he crosses the line of scrimmage, and it's Roll coming up to help out.
You know, Al, this is what they've been doing all night long, going with these safeties back and forth, in and out. And just about the time that Eli starts checking one way because of Adrian Wilson, he backs up, Antrell Roll comes down, and Roll ends up making that first stop.
A new defensive coordinator, Bill Davis, and a new look Cardinal defense this season. 2nd down and 9. Manning throws, and that is broken up. Intended for Steve Smith, and that's Rogers Cromartie with the coverage. No catches tonight for Smith.
We talk about Dominic Rogers Cromartie a lot, don't we? Started off with a spectacular interception, as good as you can get. Has really been in position all night. Perfect position here. Unfortunately, it ended up in the hands of Hakeem Nicks for a touchdown and made that last play. So really, as far as just pure coverage tonight, he's been nearly flawless, but still gave up a touchdown.
3rd down and 9. The ball is at the 21. 3 Cardinals along the front. But here they come from the outside as well, and the pass is incomplete. The coverage is good. McFadden is there. Manningham was the intended receiver, and the Giants begin the second half with a 3 and out.
That time Eli Manning called the wrong guy as the Mike. He saw the safety coming down here, and he called him as the Mike backer. He ends up backing out of it. They bring other people as blitzers, and it messed up their protection. So Eli had no choice but to just try and get that ball out of there that time. Great cat and mouse game going on here in this one.
Fiegels. Short kick fielded at the 44, and Preston gets whacked by Wilkinson as he hauls it in at that spot. A minute into the period after a 35-yard punt. Warner, Manning, and Coughlin. You go back to 2004. Tom Coughlin gets the job. He replaces Jim Fossil as the coach. The Giants have the number 4 pick in the draft. San Diego 1. San Diego picks Eli Manning, who said, "I'm not going there." They effect a trade then, with the Giants picking Phillip Rivers and sending him to San Diego, and Manning comes here. And then the Giants signed Kurt Warner. And it was pretty much an open competition in 04 training camp. And Warner gets the job with Manning starting his rookie season as the backup. Arizona now from the 45-yard line, and that pass is incomplete. So Warner starts the year. The Giants got off to a pretty good start that year, but then they started to fade. They're 5-4 halfway through the season, and Coughlin had to make the choice, and he goes with Eli. Now, Eli only won 1 game the rest of the way, but everybody talks with such mutual admiration for each other. Coughlin telling us the other day Warner is just a great guy. Warner was very supportive of Manning, and you can tell right there as they greeted each other before the game. But that was that 1 year in New York for Kurt Warner. 2nd and 10. The ball's at the 45. And Warner finds a wide open Fitzgerald. And Larry Fitzgerald with a first down to the New York 29-yard line. Sooner or later, 11 gets wide open.
Well, the Giants have really been playing 2 deep safeties for most of the night. And so that time, Larry Fitzgerald just found the open space in between them. They really don't want to put C.C. Brown and these safeties in a position to have to try and make some open field plays against Fitzgerald. And it looks like Warner's changed his game plan. Instead of trying to go over them, you can see how deep they're playing. He's now going to try and go underneath them and made a big play.
And going to the outside, and Wells gets spun all the way back. Warner is in there to block, in a manner of speaking, and to the 34-yard line he goes. Broke out of a Chase Blackburn tackle, and it turns out to be a 5-yard loss, making it 2nd and 15.
Well, we might see Tim Hightower after that particular run right there. That's not what you want to see your running back do. At least he got a little creative and got some of it back, but ended up losing 5 yards. Sometimes in this game, you have to understand that a 3-yard loss is not always a bad thing.
He almost lost about 15. Well, now you've got Fitzgerald lining up in the backfield and then breaking out, coming out of the slot. Warner hanging in deep over the middle, and he winds up hitting Fitzgerald. And Larry, who had started in the backfield, goes into the slot. 3 receivers to the right side, gets tackled by Michael Johnson, and it's 1st down and goal. 27 yards.
Well, you see the two deep safeties back here, but again, Terrell Thomas now is going to have to cover this middle of the field. This is sort of like those old Tampa 2s that you see, but he gets caught up peeking at the underneath guy, and that coverage cannot work unless you run somebody down the middle of Larry Fitzgerald, and they're getting burned right underneath the safeties now.
Beanie Wells is the back on 1st and goal from the Giants 7-yard line. Wells, and he gets about half the distance to the 3.5. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
One of the things that Arizona is trying to get to with Ken Wisenhunt is a little bit of the Pittsburgh Steelers look with their tight ends, Ben Patrick and Anthony Beck, Steven Spock out of this game. But they're trying to get some power packages in there so that they don't have to always throw the ball when they get down on the goal line.
Double tight end set with Beck. There he is, 84, and Patrick outside him. Fitzgerald wide right. Preston out of the slot. Handoff goes to Wells, and Wells pushes his way inside the 1-yard line. 3rd and goal.
Antonio Pierce right here in the middle is going to work on Reggie Wells. It looked like Reggie Wells was going to have a chance to cram him back into the end zone, and Pierce just holds up just enough to keep that one out. Pretty stout play by the middle linebacker, and boy, this brings up a big moment here.
So big, in fact, that the Cardinals are going to take a timeout early in the 3rd quarter. 3rd and goal when we come back. Cardinals, 3rd and goal. They're 0 for 3 rushing on 3rd or 4th and 1. 6 for 8 passing this season. Tight formation. Hightower is the running back. 3rd and goal. And they give it to Hightower, and he gets into the end zone. That time behind a Dan Kreider block. They brought the former Steeler fullback who played under the offensive coordinator Wisenhunt with the Steelers. They brought him in for leverage, and it pays off. Touchdown.
Boy, Mike Gandy and Reggie Wells get the job done here on the much lighter Justin Tuck. Just blow him right back into the end zone. Kreider cleans up the rest of it. And that's what Ken Wisenhunt likes, seeing a little Pittsburgh Steelers style power football.
And even Fitzgerald gets into the action on the inside as Rackers boots the extra point. And so after a short punt, Arizona goes 55 yards in 7 plays, and the Cardinals have their first lead.
And Brandon Jacobs let go a roar like a lion would and told everybody in this place he was ready to go.
And he got into the end zone, but the Cardinals have come roaring back here in the 3rd quarter after the Giants with a 3-and-out, a short Fiegels punt, 55 yards. Go the Cardinals with 4 rushes and 3 passes, and that stopped the press and stuff.
They came roaring back, didn't they?
Sort of.
Not more.
Stream of consciousness, goofiness, you name it. That kick is fielded in the end zone. Well, you set me up for it.
Yeah, you know. Well, now it's on Eli, huh? Here's Mr. October, 16-3 in his career during the month of October. He's been absolutely brilliant. And now the burden shifts to him a bit. And I think, Al, the one thing that he needs to do is quit playing games with his Arizona defense. Instead of trying to match every look that they're giving him, maybe just call and run a few plays, because they're going to show him something, back out of it, and I think he's been checking into some of the wrong calls.
Bradshaw has carried 8 times for 20 yards, and he's the back here. There's the play fake. The pressure is put on, and down he goes. That is Alan Branch, who would be, in effect, a backup end behind Dockett, but he sees a lot of action. 3rd-year man out of Michigan came charging through.
And here's exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see Eli point right there at Adrian Wilson, thinking he's going to blitz. Well, instead, Wilson's going to back out of here, go in coverage, and then there's nowhere for Eli to go with the ball, and he gives up the sack.
2 sacks for Branch tonight. It is 2nd down and 22 after that 12-yard put down. And that is Kevin Boss who gets taken out of bounds after a short game. The Cardinals now with 3 sacks in the game, and coming into the game, Eli had been sacked only 3 times in the first 6 games total.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals game is penetration. They want to get in the gaps, get up the field. They've done a great job tonight of playing the run on the way to the quarterback. But remember, Brandon Jacobs averaged about 10 yards per carry in the first half, and they have not gotten back to it.
3rd and 18. Giants have to get to the 30 to convert. They check it off underneath, and Kevin Boss is going to get taken down shy of the 20-yard line. And the Giants have begun the second half with a pair of 3 and outs. Tough crowd. Well, it's New York. It's always a tough crowd.
It's always a tough crowd. And Jeff Eagles tonight has not had a good night. He's trying to do these directional punts, but so far they need to have a little better average than that.
Steve Preston is back to return it. And that's an angled kick again, and that one goes into the Cardinal bench, and the crowd voicing its displeasure with Fiegel's punting tonight, because that one doesn't even get into Cardinal territory. It'll be spotted at the Giants' 48-yard line. 30-yard boot. Manning, 2 3 and outs. Cardinals now at the Giant 48-yard line. And begin with an empty backfield. Warner over the middle, fires to the 40-yard line. And that is caught for a gain of 8. Kurt Warner's legacy with the Rams, and they were a terrible team in the 90s until he took over for Trent Green after Green got hurt. Then he led the Cardinals to Super Bowl 43. So that would be really his legacy, and the 3 most passing yards, 1, 2, 3 in Super Bowl history. And Roll now comes in the Wildcat. He has played offense before, so the safety comes in to take the snap on 2nd down and 2. And he fakes the give, and he can throw it. And they tell us he can throw it 90 yards, and he throws that one deep enough, but then it is dropped. And he flag on the play as Larry Fitzgerald was there, had to wait for it. C.C. Brown and Terrell Thomas covering on the play, and Riveron throwing the flag.
Holding number 89, offense, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Academic, that's Ben Patrick, the tight end with the hold.
Well, Ben Patrick held, but that was pretty. I mean, for a safety, this is a pretty good throw. We're talking to Ken Wisenhunt last night. He said he could throw it 90 yards. There was the hold, a little one, but I've never seen Larry Fitzgerald do this. Just took his eye off the ball, and C.C. Brown, even though it would have come back anyway, boy, did he get sucked up on that one. He was almost the goat again.
Well, somebody wrote last week, CC stands for can't cover. That's cruel. 2nd and 12. Warner is back in. And he throws, and that's caught by Preston. And Preston with the 46. You know, Chris, I look at Warner's career, and it looked like it might be over in the middle of it with the Giants that one year. Sort of reminds me of, Reggie Jackson plays with Oakland, wins 3 world championships, has that 1 year in Baltimore everybody forgets about.
Yeah.
Then winds up with the Yankees. We all knew what happened there. Meanwhile, you've got a flag, and Riveron will make this call in a second.
Well, there was a little skirmish going on down at the end of that. A couple of big dogs were going at it, and I don't know exactly who's going to get called for what.
Curious look on the face of Brown.
Shot block, number 79, offense, 15-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Not 79, it's 75.
Right.
Levi Brown comes down when the defensive end was engaged by Deuce Latui, and that's what created the foul. You're going to see it right over here. He's going to end up chopping down low. And boy, that brought quite a reaction. Giants were not happy with Levi Brown on that one, and they weren't willing to give up those 15 yards back. I think there would have been a fight on that one.
Well, the chop block is so serious, it's a 15-yard penalty. Second down and 27. The ball is back at the 35-yard line. And Warner throwing into traffic, and that's incomplete. He tried to get it to Bolden, slanting across the middle at the 50-yard line, and it was tipped away by Thomas. Third and long.
Well, they're going to give Anquan Bolden every opportunity in the middle of the field. You can see him limping just so badly going down there, but they know if they throw it up there, they're going to have a chance. I wonder if they don't start moving Corey Webster around and keeping him off of Bolden and let one of the lesser guys try and cover him because of Bolden's inability to run.
Well, remember they did that with Bruce Johnson in the first half.
Right.
And it cost them. Third down and 27. The ball is at the 35-yard line. And it's thrown underneath, and there's nothing there. Hightower pulls it in. The ball will be spotted at the 33-yard line, and it's going to be 4th and 29.
And that's one of those drives you stick in the back of your mind right there. They had great field position around midfield, and they get the chop block, and now all of a sudden this great field position they've had for the last 4 or 5 possessions is going to get flipped, and you're kicking to a dangerous guy here.
And the trick play that almost worked with Roll throwing to Fitzgerald. Now Graham sends his kick inside the 30, and it takes a good Arizona bounce, and they'll let it roll dead at the 19-yard line with 6:04 left in the third quarter. Arizona by 3. Now from the 19-yard line, the Giants on first down. Start with Jacobs through the middle. He picks up about 6. 2nd and 4.
Tom Coughlin's had enough. He came in with 2 tight ends, a fullback, and look what the Cardinals react with. Everybody at the line of scrimmage. No free safety. Man-on-man coverage on the outside. The Cardinals are already showing that they're willing to play one-on-one with these Giants receivers and just put everything on stopping the running game.
Second down and 3. Steve Smith wide right. He has not caught a pass tonight. Jacobs again. They call his number, and he's going to get stacked up about 1.5 yards shy of the first down by Clark Higgins. There he is. Came into the weekend tied with Hines Ward. 41 catches, tied for the league lead tonight. A goose egg.
Yeah, and really the Giants, when they've been trying to throw the ball, they've been trying to take the shots down the field, and justifiably so. If you're going to play against them with no free safety, you got to try for the home run ball. Well, they failed on it last week, and but for the fluke tip ball in this one, they really haven't been much better this one.
3 wide and 2 tight as you see the personnel. 6 DBs. Cardinals showing they're coming. There's Wilson right up in the line. He's coming, and you've got a whistle before the snap. And again, it's delay of the game.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Second such call against Eli at the line. That's going to turn a 3rd and a deuce into a 3rd and 7.
Well, that time Eli was looking at 3 blitzers coming right over the center and forgot to look at the play clock.
3rd and 7. Deep drop by Eli. And then it is tipped, and it is juggled and intercepted by Adrian Wilson at the 20-yard line. So the Cardinals that time, after not getting a break on a tipped pass, get a big break here.
And they get it from the big guy, Calais Campbell, 6'8" of him, who's already blocked 2 kicks this year, is going to get his big mid up in the air, and turnabout is fair play here. Right on the end of the line of scrimmage, right there. Perfect protection, really, by William Beatty. But now we are even on those tip balls.
Campbell's also blocked 2 kicks this season, so using that 6'8" frame to his advantage. And there's a look at Coughlin as the Giants right now are backed up. The ball is at the 20. And you've got Wells, and Wells breaks through the middle of the line to the 5-yard line. Beanie Wells, who has scored a rushing touchdown tonight, takes it to the 5 and sets up a 1st and goal.
Tremendous job this time by the right side, the big side, the beef side of this Cardinal offensive line. Get the double team. Lyle Sinline got up on the linebacker, and Beanie Wells is giving the Cardinals something they haven't had in a long time, and that's a running game.
That was Tuck being worked on the sideline. Ball is at the 5-yard line. And the toss in, oh, they almost threw it away, and it is Wells. So it was the toss. That time Warner threw it outside. Pitch out of the strike zone, and Wells is able to save the wild pitch.
Reggie Wells, the left guard, is going to pull over here, and he's going to hit Kurt Warner as he's trying to swing around and make the pitch. Right in the middle there, and this thing almost gets away. Kurt sort of fires that thing out there anyway. Nice catch by Beanie Wells.
Jason Wright now comes in. They use him in certain packages, and he is lined up as the running back on 2nd down and goal. The play clock is down to 3. And Warner just does get it off and throws the ball to Jason Wright for a touchdown. Warner just getting the play off. The clock was going from 1 to 0, and Wright had just come into the game, and he hits him for 6.
The inside screen. Watch the center here. Lyle Sinline is going to seek out and find the guy that has the screen back. That time Antonio Pierce. He blocks the guy responsible for the screen, and the Cardinals end up with a touchdown.
Only Wright's 3rd catch of the season. Rackers for the extra point, and the Cardinals take advantage of the turnover, the interception by Wilson to go 20 yards in 3 plays and stun this crowd. With 2.5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter, the Cardinals are now up by 10.
You know, it's interesting hearing Ken Wisenhunt talk about Jason Wright. He said he's the one guy on this team that he's not the best that we have at doing anything, but he does everything well, and he's the guy that I trust. So if we have sort of a tricky kind of a play, he's the guy I want in there because I know that he'll be able to handle it. But that play was made by the center, Lyle Sinline, who waded through all that traffic and found the guy responsible for Wright. And the Arizona Cardinals making a bit of a statement here. This would be their 3rd straight win on the road. And for Kurt Warner, I don't care what he says, for him to come back into this stadium where he was benched has to mean something extra.
And even though there's good tidings amongst Manning and Warner and Coughlin, again, it's the one bump in the road in Kurt's career. And in fact, it was so rocky that it looked like it might be over at that point. Meanwhile, you've got Cromartie, who's now limping, so that would be a big blow to that secondary.
Well, and it does. It completely changes everything, because part of the reason they've been able to play so many people down against the run is because he's been blanking everybody on the outside.
Now Racker's kickoff, bouncing at the 10-yard line. Hickson takes it to the 24-yard line. And let's take a look at how Cromartie got injured.
Well, it was on the tip ball interception. Watch Cromartie's left foot here as it hits the ground. Is just going to sort of roll over. And it was a good thing he didn't get a finger on that ball. He was hopping immediately afterwards. And for Adrian Wilson, this has been some game. But let's see how the game changes now with Cromartie out. Are they still going to come and attack this run?
Michael Adams, 27, is the guy who takes his spot. He lines up facing Smith. Brashaw's going to take the ball. Not very far. The Giants do not have a first down in this half. 3 and out, 3 and out, and then the third play on a third down play, the interception.
Well, and to me, the great mystery coming into this game, you have one of the great running teams in the league in the Giants, and you have the Arizona Cardinals, who are the #1 rush defense. But I had to see it. You know, I had to see them against a team like the New York Giants. They weren't so good in the first half, but here in the second half, when Coughlin's tried to play some power football, they've really answered so far.
Bradshaw takes the toss. Bradshaw's going to try to come back, and that's a good tackle by Adrian Wilson. Not too many guys get away from him, and it will be third down. And there goes Cromartie back to the locker room.
Well, Chike O'Keefer on the outside really sets a hard edge, working right here against David Deal. He's got to make sure this thing doesn't come out there and bounce all the way to the cornerback. The one thing the Giants wanted to do was try and make some of these smaller corners tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. But after the first half, they really haven't been able to get out there to them.
3rd and 9. And that's going to cost the Giants 5 more.
False start. Number 82, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
Mario Manningham.
They're just messing with these guys a little bit, and Eli's losing track of that clock. I don't know this for a fact, but I think when Eli says Omaha, it's a snap count indicator. I think it means that the next snap count you hear is the one that's live.
Omaha beats. 3rd and 14. Eli throws, and that's caught, but the tackle is made short of the first down. Steve Smith finally makes a grab, and the former Giant Ralph Brown makes the tackle. So that will make it 4th down and 2. And there's a flag down in the offensive backfield.
Personal foul, roughing a passer, number 58. Defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Carlos Dansby.
That was a walk-off play for the Cardinals that is now going to extend this. Let's see if Dansby gets there late. And I think the idea that he sort of drove him to the ground afterwards, and we saw Tom Brady earlier this year asking for a call. If he doesn't lift him, I think he gets away with that. Eli recognized it, and Dansby didn't.
Yeah, and he knew it. Pounding the turf, the ball to 46 now. Waning seconds of the third quarter. And Eli works the middle and gets the ball into Arizona territory in the hands of Manningham on the final play of the period. That's a gain of 8. That is the end of the third quarter. At the Meadowlands with the score, Arizona 24 and the New York Giants 14. Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages from your NBC station. Arizona lead, but the Giants, the beneficiary of a roughing the passer foul at the end of the third quarter, have a 2nd down and 2 at the Cardinal 46-yard line. Bradshaw is the back, Manning out of the gun. Manning will throw that one incomplete, trying to get it to number 88, Nix. And it was batted down. 3rd down and 2. Tom Coughlin. A look at the standings. Dallas winning today. And the Giants right now will either go to 6-1 or 5-2. They'll be on top in the division. San Francisco losing today, mounting a big comeback against the Texans, but falling short, and Alex Smith has taken over as their quarterback. And Arizona trying to stay on top of its division in undisputed possession of first place. Otherwise, they'd be tied with San Francisco, a team to whom they've already lost. 3rd and 2. And Manning's going to go deep, and he's going to throw that one out of bounds. McFadden covering on the play. The coverage was good, and the pass was not. It was out of bounds, and on a pass intended for Manningham, they get 8 yards on first down and wind up with a 4th and 2.
But you've got to win some of these battles. Manningham goes straight to the sideline. You cannot do that. You have to press that technique. They had no safety. They had no help deep. And instead of pressing that technique inside, he runs straight to the sideline. Eli had no choice but to throw the thing out of bounds. It's a terrible route.
Now Fiegels. Preston calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 11-yard line. Cardinals will start deep in their own territory, 20 seconds into the fourth.
Inexperienced receivers. Here's the route he should be holding, with plenty of room so he can fade off to the sideline. Instead of doing that, and he wasn't pressured into it at all. Watch him just go straight to the sideline, and now Eli has nowhere to throw the ball. There's no reason to go out there. The technique by the corner was inside. He goes straight outside. It's terrible.
And he knows it.
Maybe he doesn't.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Maybe he will.
We'll know it tomorrow.
For sure. Beanie Wells is the back, first down from the 12-yard line. And here's Wells. And Wells loses the ball, and he's lucky that it winds up out of bounds. C.C. Brown forced the fumble.
Now what do you do? Now you got Hightower with a fumble. Beanie Wells, who has put more than his fair share on the ground this year. And now you've got to think these Giants are going to start going for these things. C.C. Brown got in there, and they've been getting the ball out.
You don't get the advancement on the fumble, so it goes back to where he lost it before it went out of bounds. Thus the ball is at the 16, second down and 6. Giants show blitz, and they're coming. And they run a draw, but the Giants are able to stuff that. Michael Johnson is right there to stop Wells. Third down.
Well, Beanie Wells has got to start carrying it like Tiki Barber did back in the day. Remember when Tiki had that high and tight thing working after he had some fumbling problems? They've been working on Beanie Wells, trying to teach him that, but it's not a natural thing for him.
3rd and 8.
Giants show blitz, and Arizona spreads them out. Man coverage.
And Warner throws deep and incomplete.
I mean, you can see Bolden, he can't run at all. I mean, if you're gonna throw a deep route against man coverage, you can't throw it to him. I mean, typically that's the right choice, but you've got to know what's going on. Here's Bolden on the inside. Look at him, he just can't run. God bless him, he's trying hard and he's playing as hard as he can, but he just couldn't get there.
Easy time for Thomas to stay with him. Hickson back. Graham with a low liner, and Hickson is at the 35-yard line. Flag is thrown, and Hickson gets taken down at the 50-yard line. Flag back down at the line of scrimmage.
Ineligible player downfield by the kicking team. The 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
So the Giants have it at midfield, trailing by 10. Lower Manhattan on this 25th night of October. Beautiful night, temperature mid-50s. The Giants have only one first down in this half, and that came on a penalty. Brandon Jacobs flanking Manning on first down from the 44, and the pass is thrown out in front of Nix, who's able to grab it and then gets taken down by Higgins after a short gain.
And right now Arizona has Michael Adams in the game, a free agent from a few years back, taking over for Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. They throw the screen out there to him. And I think if Arizona's willing to continue blitzing, you have to take your shots out there. We've seen that Hakeem Nicks can come up with some big plays, so you have to try and take your shot.
And they're man-to-man at the top of the screen. 2nd and 7. And And Eli checks off underneath. Catch made. Jacobs. He's to the 35-yard line, about a yard or two short of the first down.
You can hear every time Eli says Omaha, it's an indicator that the next snap count is live. So he has all that conversation going on, directing traffic, changing blitz protections, changing routes. But when he says Omaha, the next snap count is the live one.
3rd and 2. This is Jacobs, and he's going to get stuffed at the 35-yard line. So here comes a big decision for Coughlin now on 4th down and 1.
Adrian Wilson's having a Pro Bowl night tonight. He is just simply making plays. I think this is him right here, sneaking up in there. Oh, he's the one that got blocked. It was on the other side, the linebacker who came up in between and made the play. But Adrian Wilson has not left the line of scrimmage, and now we find out about Brandon Jacobs in this running game.
Giants have had a lot of trouble on 3rd and 4th and short from the 35. Jacobs, and this time he busts over left guard and picks up the first down. Chris Snee helping to lead the way for Brandon Jacobs, and they move the chains with 11 minutes to play.
Little power with their most powerful offensive lineman. Chris Snee is going to come right up and lead about 270 pounds of man through the hole. This is the bread and butter. Great double team between Sorbert and Deal on that side as well, but that has not been an automatic for the Giants this year, those short yardage situations.
No way. Cardinals come. Manning throws, and it is dropped. Mario Manningham at the 2-yard line. That is his 7th drop of an on-target pass this season.
The Giants are just blowing it. They have inside technique, a slant and go, the same play they won the game on in the Super Bowl. Perfect throw by Eli, and Manningham drops it. Wow. They have missed so many plays the last 2 games against blitz and man coverage. It is remarkable.
2nd and 10. 4-man rush. And wide open over the middle is Steve Smith. So they free him up. 2nd grab of the night. Takes it to the 11. First down.
And Adrian Wilson is out of the game now. And Steve Smith, who really has not been much of a factor at all, right here is just going to work over where Adrian Wilson has been roaming all night long. And finally now the Giants are starting to get a little something going with their passing game.
They're working on Adrian Wilson. There he is on his calf on the sideline, so he is still out. Matt Ware comes in to take his place. Here come the Cardinals again, and the pass is behind Jacobs. They put enough heat on Manning that he had to get rid of it in a hurry and behind the target.
I tell you what, Bill Davis, the new defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals, knows no fear. They have been sending everybody. They're coming off the edge. They're coming off the linebacker spot. And every once in a while, you just pop free. And there it was. Got to Eli before he could set his feet and get that thing out. But Jacobs was open. They just couldn't get it there.
And Antrell Roll was limping after that last play. They've got Greg Toller, a rookie in the game as well. So it's a patchwork secondary. 2nd down and 10. The ball at the 11-yard line. And here they come again. Put the heat on Manning, and he finds the man over the middle, and then Smith again got in front of Brown, and the ball will be spotted at the 5-yard line. And it will be 3rd down and 3.
Davis keeps firing. He's just going to keep sending everybody up the gut. And I think part of the reason why, when you have this many changes going on in your secondary and so many guys hurt, the easiest thing to do, Al, is just play man-to-man coverage on the outside. Some of those combination zones down around the goal line, these guys probably haven't played.
And send the house. And that's what he's been doing. And it's 3rd down and 3. And it's an inside handoff to Jacobs. And Jacobs is going to come close to getting the first down before he is forced back. But his forward progress will take him only to the 2-yard line. So now the Giants, needing a field goal and a touchdown, or a touchdown and a field goal in either order, will opt for the three-pointer to the displeasure of the crowd.
Well, you sort of have to make it a one-possession game, and they come right back with the power going the other way. But that is some job inside by some of those small guys in the secondary. Ralph Brown, Matt Ware, little dudes who combine together to make the stop.
Ralph Brown at 5'10" and 185. Now a 20-yard field goal attempt. Fiegel's putting it down for Tynes, and the kick is good, and that does turn it into a one-possession game with 8:14 left in regulation, and the Arizona Cardinals over the Giants by 7. There's Roll. I mentioned he was limping at the end of that last drive, and you've got Cromartie hurt. He's got the ankle wrap, telling us he is done for the night. You have a bouncing kickoff. Stevens howling, fielding it, and he'll run it back to the 30-yard line. Kurt Warner coming back out with the Cardinal offense. 8:07 left at the Meadowlands. 24-17 Arizona. And a good one at the Meadowlands. Arizona leads by 7. Big drive for the Cardinals here. They start from the 31-yard line. Warner out of the shotgun. Alberto Riveron.
Very nice.
The referee, well, he said his mother likes when you trill it. It's going to be against the Giants.
Encroachment, number 98, defense, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Fred Robbins.
Lyle Sinline, the center, is going to snap his head up here, right in here. And it looks like everybody sort of reacts to that. Love tap.
Balls at they only gave him 4 yards on the penalty, and that's why they stop it. They gave him 4, not 5. They got to move the ball to the 36-yard line. Man. I know the economy's in a shambles, or was, but you know, got to give him 5 yards.
1, 2, 3, 5. Same way I used to get paid.
Right. From the 36-yard line, first down, and 5. And you got Fitzgerald, and that will move the chains as Larry takes it up to the 46-yard line. He's tackled there by Terrell Thomas, and tonight for Larry Fitzgerald, that's 5 catches, 77 yards.
Classic Kurt Warner. You end up going blitz, and he goes screen. That's the way he plays this game. You want to try and come get him, he's going to flip it out to these great receivers and let them make a play with no pursuit.
Beanie Wells back in the game.
Corey Webster now out for the Giants.
Webster limped off. Wells. Oh, and Wells with a big run. Antonio Pierce and Blackburn, and we started at the beginning of the game talking about their running game, Chris, and what this team would be like as you look at Webster if they got a running game.
How about this power football? You got Dan Kreider here on a lead block, is just going to move Antonio Pierce. That's just one-on-one, old Dallas Cowboys isolation. Moose Johnson clearing it for Emmitt Smith, and boy, we haven't seen a lot out of that in Arizona.
That is a first down, and Warner has to go to the bench and call a timeout here to go over things with Wisenhunt, and he's upset that he had to call the timeout. First down upcoming. Bill Sheridan, the Giants defensive coordinator. You can see not a lot of pressure on Warner tonight. Sacked once by the linebacker Clark, hit 4 times. 1 knockdown. Last week, Drew Brees had so much time, Tom Coughlin said, I'm not even sure Drew had to shower after the game. Cardinals had to take a timeout. They only have 1 left. 6:46 left in regulation. Beanie Wells is the back. There are the numbers on Warner. First down from the Giants, 44. And Wells picking up a couple. Cardinals right now, among other things, Chris, can play a little clock ball, but what's really important for them is to wind up with some points on this drive and turn it back into a two-possession game.
Well, that's the problem with Tom Coughlin's decision to go for the field goal, because now if you give up a field goal, it goes back to being a two-possession game. I'll bet you if you ask Tom, he decided to kick it because he saw all the injuries on the Cardinals' defense. So he thought he was going to get it back and be able to take it down the field the way that they were moving the last time.
And it's up to his defense to do that. It's 2nd down and 8 from the 42-yard line. And now you've got Wells to the 37-yard line. And upcoming right now is a very big 3rd and 3.
We're seeing a little Pittsburgh Steelers football now. These two tight ends, this is what we see out of the Steelers. They end up stretching the defense out with two tight ends. They've got Breston on the outside in there blocking as well, down on C.C. Brown. The Steelers love doing that with Hines Ward, and it's working right now for Arizona as well.
Crowd senses the importance of this play. Rising as one, imploring their defense to stop them. 3rd down and 3. 5.5 to play. And Warner, he'll get sacked. Big play. Matthias Kiwanuka racing around from the right side, coming in from behind and sacking him.
They've been quiet all night, but that time it was Ozi Umenyiora and Matthias Kiwanuka. First on the outside, Mike Gandy whiffs. And I can't believe Kurt Warner doesn't lose that ball. He had 2 chances to have that one poked out. But he hangs on to it, and it was significant.
Graham getting ready for his 7th punt. Hickson sets up at his own 10-yard line. And calls for a fair catch. And Manning will take over at the 17-yard line with 4 minutes and 48 seconds to play on Sunday Night Football. Cards by a touchdown. A lot going on in that Cardinals secondary. Guys coming in and out. Andrea, update us.
Adrian Wilson, they did extensive stretching and massaging of his calves due to cramping. Antrell Roll has a right foot strain. I watched them tape him. He's back in as well. Rogers Cromartie, Al, who you mentioned, was out. They x-rayed his left ankle. X-rays came back negative.
Came back negative in the areas, though, with it wrapped and iced, and he won't play, obviously, the rest of the night. Michael Adams taking his spot at that cornerback position, and the Giants right now at their own 17-yard line. Ton of time and all of their timeouts and the 2-minute warning, so that's not an issue. 1st and 10. Eli deep over the middle, and that pass is hauled in at the 42-yard line by Kevin Boss, who takes a shot from Antrell Roll and somehow, someway holds on for a 25-yard gain.
Just professional football. I mean, this is just a man making a catch. Kevin Boss knows he's going to get whacked. Stins, helmet to helmet. Should have been 15 yards on top of it. A brilliant play. Brilliant play.
At the 42-yard line on 1st down. Winding down to 4 minutes. They run a draw. Bradshaw into Cardinal territory, and then he loses the ball, and Arizona winds up with it at the 41. Adrian Wilson winds up picking up the loose ball after Bradshaw nearly broke it, tried to get out of that last tackle to pick up 10 or 15 more, and loses it to the Cardinals.
Happens so many times when you're trying to extend a play, you're trying to get extra yards, and yet you're slowed down, and what happens is somebody catches you from behind, and it totally catches you off guard. He has no idea what's coming behind him. There it is, knock it out by Matt Ware, and then Adrian Wilson comes up with the play. But when you get slowed, you're used to battling the guys in front of you. It's the guys behind you who make the play.
After Roll and McFadden got there and then Ware jarred it loose, the Cardinals now at the 42-yard line. And Warner has that one batted back. Look Fitzgerald's way. Barry Cofield and Michael Johnson were there.
Well,
Boss getting his helmet-to-helmet hit, holding on to it, and he needs that attention on the bench.
Michael Johnson and Bill Sheridan, true to their word now, they're going to start bringing a lot of pressure. He said, we won't make the same mistake we did against the Saints. When we get down in this part of the game, we're going to find out what Kurt Warner can do against pressure.
2nd down and 10. And that pass is caught by Fitzgerald, and he'll take it up to the 47-yard line. If nothing else, the Cardinals have to try to take a little bit of time off the clock.
And this is the moment in the game where Kurt Warner has to be careful too. They've trained him in Arizona to keep 2 hands on the ball. No fumbles in key situations, because right now Umanura is starting to get there. Mike Gandy is really struggling against Umanura. We'll see.
Big stop for the Giants here. Otherwise, they're going to have to start using their timeouts on defense. 3rd and 4. And Warner throws, and it's Fitzgerald who can't make the catch. Terrell Thomas is right there. 4th down.
Umanura that time took Mike Gandy on a bull rush right back into Kurt Warner. Didn't allow Warner to step into that throw very much, but just brilliant coverage on the outside by Terrell Thomas. Big time play, and what a stop by this Giants defense. After the turnover, give it right back.
Stopped them, weren't forced to use a timeout, and still have a ton of time on the clock. Graham's kick. Fair catch signaled, made. 9-yard line by Hickson. So now Manning will be 91 yards away. 2:52. All 3 timeouts, and the 2-minute warning as well.
And where's David Tyree when you need him?
Just got re-signed, didn't he, by somebody?
I think he did. Oh boy, here we go. This is what pro football is all about. How many games do we do where it comes down to the final 3 minutes of the game, and a big-time quarterback, Eli Manning, who's been having a really good year, in the spotlight.
And Boss comes back in. There he is, lined up tight on the right side. Ahmad Bradshaw is the running back.
False start. Number 65, offense, half the distance of the goal, 1st down.
And that's Will Beatty, the rookie.
Yep, sometimes bad situation for rookies. Flinch is here. We should have waited for Omaha.
At least Lincoln. 1st and 14 from the 5, half the distance. There's your Omaha. Here comes the blitz, and you got Bradshaw taken down in the backfield by Roll. Dockett is there as well. 2nd and long. And another flag. Already had 13 accepted penalties in tonight's game.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 44, offense. Half the distance to the goal, 2nd down.
That's Bradshaw. The good news is it's only half the distance from about the 3-yard line.
The bad news is this blitz keeps getting here. All 3 guys come. Bradshaw's going to be taken down by Antrell Roll, and didn't like something at the tail end of this thing. I didn't. Well, let's see.
Oh, there it
right
is.
In the face. There you go. Now you tell me, Al, I've been playing this game a long time. What does it do for you to take your fist and punch somebody's face mask? How are you damaging that person?
Right.
How are you retaliating with your fist to their face mask?
You don't. Sometimes your emotions just get the best of you. And they're going to pull them out of the game here as well. Why do you do a lot of things?
I don't know. I ask myself that question a lot of times.
It's a discussion for another day or a blowout.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Arizona Cardinals and their defensive coordinator, Bill Davis, they've never stopped firing this blitz all night. And you've got 99 yards of field to protect, and they're still going after him.
There's a conference here. There was a timeout, and I'm not sure what it was for. And I think this has to be what they're discussing right here. You had a personal foul, you had the penalty call, but then you had I
think they're trying to decide.
The trainers coming out onto the field and the guys who bring the water out and all of that.
I think they're trying to decide what down it is.
And also the personal foul was after the play, so the down should count.
Yeah. Good call.
Second down. So it's second down and 18 with the ball at the 1-yard line.
Can't commit a penalty in the end zone. It would be a safety.
Jacobs is back in the game. Cardinals this time content to rush 4, and that is caught, but only at the 3-yard line by Nix, and he gets tackled by Adams. So they can't take advantage of the absence of Rogers Cromartie. Adams has done his job to this point. It will be third down and 15.
Well, if you hurry, you still could get the 2-minute warning and would have the option of punting the football with all 3 timeouts.
And Manning is going to go deep down the field, and at the 38-yard line, that is Steve Smith who makes the catch. Another spectacular catch. Boss made one at the same spot on the field earlier, and this is a 34-yard gain.
These guys are starting to look like the Arizona Cardinals the way they're going up and making plays. Steve Smith with a brilliant clutch play off his own end zone and gives the Giants a chance. Wow, what a catch.
That came on a third down and 15. And the Giants now take a timeout, their first on this side of the 2-minute warning.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
They're going at it. We're seeing some receivers making plays in critical situations. Ken Wisenhunt's seen his guys do it, but now Eli's finding his run receivers doing it.
From the 38-yard line. Pressure on Eli again. He escapes. He throws to the Arizona side of the field in front of the Arizona bench, intended for Steve Smith, but that one is out of bounds, incomplete. Second down.
I think Bertrand Berry has figured it out too. He really is getting a jump now right after the Omaha call. He's getting off the line of scrimmage so fast. Here he is over here. Listen. I mean, he is really flying off that ball. Eli may need to change it up a little bit.
Second and 10. 3-man front for Arizona. And they start to fill the gaps. Now they come again. But the protection is great for Manning. But so is the Arizona coverage. And Eli's going to throw, and he's going to find Nix at the 49-yard line for a first down, and it stops the clock with the 2-minute warning at 1:53. So the Giants have a first down at midfield with 1 minute and 53 seconds remaining. The 2-minute warning and 2 timeouts as this one goes down to the finish at the Meadowlands. Real good game tonight. Unlike a lot of Arizona Giant games through the years, the Giants have dominated. They've won 17 of the last 19 here against the Cardinals. Adrian Wilson right now is out of the game again. He was cramping before. He's not in the lineup here. Rogers Cromartie is also gone. There's Wilson on the bench. And Manning will go to work against that patchwork secondary. First and 10 from the 50-yard line. Greg Toller, rookie from St. Paul's of Virginia, is in the game. So you got a rookie, and you got Michael Adams, backup guy playing in Rogers Cromartie's spot. Matt Ware in the game. Another backup, and Manning going to work at the 50. Give it to Jacobs. And Jacobs is going to be stopped just short of the 40-yard line. Giants want to conserve their timeouts. They'll get to the line quickly here. Second down, inches. From the gun again. Manning thrown to the outside, and it's swatted away at the 32-yard line by Bryant McFadden, and that stops the clock with 1:27 left.
Well, Bryant McFadden is the veteran cornerback who is a starter. Again, inside off technique. Let's see if Manningham comes back to this football. Not too bad, just really good coverage by McFadden. Why wouldn't you go to the other side? If you've got one of your starting cornerbacks out and you've got a choice, I think I'm going over and picking on the other side a little bit.
And you got Manningham going against the rookie Toller. Top of the screen. Nix comes in behind Smith. They're going to toss it to Jacobs, and Jacobs is going to get the first down to the 39-yard line. And now the Giants are going to take a timeout, and that will leave them with one. First down at the 39.
Nice little crackback that time by Akeem Nix, the rookie receiver, about 220 pounds worth of him. You'll see him come down, and this is what's going to allow him to set the edge, working against Chike O'Keefer on the outside, and just enough to be able to pick up the first down.
Giants with a timeout, 80 seconds, and 39 yards to navigate.
Brandon Jacobs in there to block. They love him as a protector.
Manning. And that pass is incomplete, and there's no flag. The crowd wanted a flag on it. Steve Smith, the intended receiver, and the coverage on the play with the defensive back keeping his back to Manning.
Watch Dockett right up the middle with a brilliant move inside as he comes through. Now let's see if it's pass interference. If Steve Smith had come back to that ball at all, he would have gotten that call. But instead, he let his body just drift down the field. All he had to do was plant his foot and jump back into the defender, and that would have been a big penalty for the Giants.
On Michael Adams, who never saw it. Didn't even turn around. Second down and 10. Manning going into a traffic again, and it is picked off at the 22-yard line by Antrell Roll. Antrell Roll with the interception with 68 seconds remaining in the game on a pass intended for Steve Smith.
I have no idea what Eli Manning saw in this play. I really don't. Antrell Roll is going to be sitting right out here, going to run a corner right into Antrell Roll, almost pre-snap. This isn't a late move or anything. Pre-snap, you know you can't go there with the football. There's just nowhere to go with that one. Just a bad choice, bad decision by Eli, who's really been making great decisions all year. There's nowhere to go with that football.
And it's the third pick of the night. The Giants can only stop the clock one time, and then the Cardinals can run it out. And they stop it right here before a second down and 11. So 3 interceptions tonight. And the Giants have turned the ball over 4 times tonight. Cardinals twice. And you know what? It's one of the biggest victories as you look at the defense in the history of the Arizona Cardinals. And what does that tell you? It tells you a couple of things. Number one, the futility of the team over the years. I mean, you come in October and you win a game in Giants Stadium, and you're saying it's one of the biggest victories in the history of the franchise? Well, it is.
It is. And I'll say this, though. Ken Wisenhunt has changed the culture in Arizona. They're playing tough defense. Bill Davis called a tremendous game tonight, but that guy right there, and I tell you, he's a man's man. That dude will tell it like it is. He wanted to see better defense. He fired his defensive coordinator despite going to the Super Bowl. He wanted to see some power running. He drafted Beanie Wells. That paid off for him tonight. This is a huge win and their third straight road win to start the season.
And you saw how long it's been since they've done that, and that schedule sets up very nicely for this team in November. They go home next week, Carolina. They go to Chicago. Then they have Seattle, at the Rams, and at the Titans.
And how good are the New York Giants?
Well,
they got fat on some pretty easy opponents, and those questions now are going to be asked.
Yep. And the Giants have Philadelphia on the road next week. So how things have changed.
Have indeed.
In the NFC, Arizona comes into the Meadowlands. They win it 24-17. The win.